Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Welcome to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with your host, Bill Stierle. And, Bill, so many things going on. And what we want to talk about today, just want to let our listeners know this is probably just the beginning of a multi-episode discussion of this concept of, what the American public is being fed in terms of language and messaging.
Yes.
And how it is hijacking an awful lot of people.
I appreciate this thing, Tom, the messaging where we're kind of, our words are like fast food. It's like we got to eat. We human beings like to think. We like to challenge. We like to, participate in everything from entrepreneurs creating a new idea and bring it to the market, or, even a person, in, a big company as a part of manufacturing, they look for efficiencies and how can they get their job to be more effective and make better decisions and get their teams to work more, cooperatively and stuff. So our desire for thinking, foods are the words that feed our brain. It feeds our thinking. So it gives us a chance to create the tension and the intention to wake up in the morning. If we're not working up in the morning with a good intention, it doesn't go well. I mean, Tom, you and I are kind of tired and we need some rest. And we kind of do this podcast really early in the morning, and people don't know that, but they'll pick it up once in a while that we feel tired and we need rest because oh my gosh, this is our intention. We're waking up and trying to connect and contribute and provide a new insight about how to provide empathy and compassion to tragic actions and words and phrases that people are using. And the weird part about this is that the news media is stuck in the same thing, which is they've got to use the right words to capture viewership. And if they don't use the right words to capture viewership, well, no one's going to watch them, so it's not as challenging. It's too soft. And so they've got to have this unfiltered quality to it, which is really the lead for the SE Cup show that you share with us. If you'd be willing to share with everybody about that clip and some of the things you were bringing to me, and we watched it. And
SE Cup, is a CNN, I think, I guess, I don't know, journalist or employee. I don't really know her actual title, but she's got some on segments of the shows a lot, but she has a weekly segment called SE Cup Unfiltered, where she's giving sort of her take on something, its opinion. It's fairly its opinion, but what she's doing is this week is really calling out really this, what you've referred to as, fast food diet of language, but what really a large portion of the American people have been sold in terms of, not just the big lie of the election in 2020, but just the big lie in general, as she talks about it, of really truth that's been, that they're selling these things as truth that are not truth. And basically what she's talking about in reference to the recent text messages that have come out by the January 6th committee, it sort of started there, and about how a lot of the Fox News personalities of Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, and others were texting the chief of staff in the White House during the insurrection and telling him what to tell the president, that it needs to stop, that they're trying to, encourage the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to convince the president he needs to come out and make a statement and get this to stop. This has gone too far. But then those same personalities have been selling on television
the opposite. And
I guess the big lie, what she's talking about, is when are the people that are so loyal to former President Trump, that are so indoctrinated in the big lie, going to realize that they've been had? That's what she says, right?
Yeah. So the hard part about this discussion has to do with the word hope. See, hope is a really, really powerful word, phrase, concept, biological, stimulating word, hope. I feel hope that my president, my values, the things that I see as right with the world are going to be promoted in the world. And Trump presented hope through strength. If somebody crosses me, I'm going to fire them. If somebody's not loyal, I'm going to fire them. And there's the hope that that leader will do things in the best interest of the country. That's the hope. Now, Missy Cup is asking for something that's not available to her listeners, to the listeners of Trump. It's not available. The reason why is that there's a biochemistry that is blocking them from listening to anything other than the big lie, because the leader keeps saying that Mike Pence needed to do the right thing, where there was no right thing for him to do. Mike Pence actually did the right thing.
Right. But the former president has been selling that the wrong thing. He's still selling it today or yesterday. Didn't he just say it again?
Yeah. And people are putting it up on media for everybody to see. Look, Mike Pence should have done the right thing. It's like, are you going to keep drawing a target on Mike Pence now? I mean, it's you would think that the Mike Pence would finally stand up, but he can't. He can't say the president is completely wrong on this. And no matter how much you love him, and I know how much how I care about him, and I think that he is a great leader, he's just like my father. I mean, Pence can't go into his own stuff. He can't. It's kind of a weird thing, but he can't look at his own shadow. I mean, that's one of the hardest parts about this, is that, human beings really, really kind of get stuck on this.
And what was really eye-opening about S.E. Cups Unfiltered piece this weekend, and for our listeners, the link to this video is in the blog post at purchasingtruth.com, so you can go watch it for yourself. It's about 6 minutes long, and then I think, regardless of your political views, I think it's worth watching. She points out that, not only is the former president still selling all this and perpetrating the idea that the election was stolen from him, which is, I know, Bill, you often say the facts don't matter because people believe what they believe, but the facts support that Trump lost the election, Joe Biden won. But what she's pointing out is that it's clear from these text messages on January 6th from these Fox News personalities to Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff, that they knew that this was a mob of Trump supporters attacking the Capitol, and they were trying to get the president to stop it because they knew he incited them to go do it. But what she also points out is these same Fox News personalities and the Fox News network in general continue ever since January 6th to support the idea that Mike Pence didn't do the right thing, that the election, that they sow seeds of doubt in the election integrity, that there was all sorts of voter fraud and all this stuff. And what she points out, which is very sobering, sort of some scary honesty, is for the people that are watching, those personalities that are watching that network and believing all this messaging, that those Fox News personalities don't even believe what they're selling, that they knew the difference, that they're sowing seeds of doubt that, the insurrectionists were members of Antifa and they were, anything other than just loyal Trump supporters.
It's very, very difficult to say, listen, you're right on target with what you're saying, but it's not going to stick. And that's the hard part about this discussion. And it's really very difficult when a group of people is stuck with delusions. And I'm not saying that the left doesn't have its set of delusions, because it most certainly does. Okay. So this is not a right-left conversation. But this is a discussion is, how does the brain get hijacked? That's what the discussion is.
Right.
See, when the brain wants to believe something, it goes in, it goes all in, because it only has the language to go all in. It doesn't have time. It wants to, as soon as a fight, flight, and freeze situation comes up, it goes in that direction and anchors it. And so, it will deny all reality. There's a quote that we can put in the blog from Carl Jung that says, it's greater than all physical dangers are tremendous effects of delusion. A delusionary idea will carry it. And then the delusionary idea carries it because it's going to go over the reality. And it's gonna blind consciousness. It blinds it. And he's talking post World War II. You got to think of it that way too. He's going like, this is how we got stuck. Our vaulted reasoning, our unbounded, overestimated, will sometimes utterly be powerless in the face of unreal thoughts. This is Carl Jung talking about that same problem. And the problem is our consciousness gobbles this stuff up through word salad. And the word salad is that, what is Hannity saying? See, Trump knows this. Trump knows what the target is. The target is eyeballs. That's the target.
Right.
The target is, look at that guy's ratings. That guy's ratings is nothing. That guy's ratings is something. That guy's rating. All he's looking about is, how can I change the ratings with the things that I'm sharing with people?
Well, and I think that all the news stations, and all of them are guilty of this. Fox News, CNN, NBC, Newsmax, all of them are guilty of stoking outrage, because outrage keeps eyeballs engaged, right? And that's really what's been happening, instead of, and that's what I mean in this example today, Fox News has been doing, instead of, broadcasting outrage at the fact that the president incited a mob to attack the Capitol, they express outrage that organizations like Antifa and others that they don't agree with would sponsor a false flag operation and pretend to be Trump supporters attacking the Capitol. I mean,
they're looking for any kind of word salad to spin it in the direction. See, like I said, whether right or left, the one is super dark and apocalyptic, and the other is utopian. And it doesn't, both of those, both of the fringes have both of those things. The anti-vaxxer has its super dark and apocalyptic thing, and it also has this utopian thing. And then the right also has the super dark and apocalyptic thing. And it also has the utopian thing called Christian nation, one nation under God, which is a Christian nation. That's their utopian. So the right has its utopian and it's dark and apocalyptic, and the left has its dark and apocalyptic, the nation that you're taking away my freedoms thing, and the utopian. If we just get along and talk, it's going to be okay. If we just stay in this together, we'll be fine, and stuff like that. And what's missing is that we need to face hard issues. That's called facing the shadow. We need to face the hard issue. It sounds like this. We have been living for 40 years with an infrastructure that has crumbled over the last 40 years. That's a hard decision to face. In order to do that, we need to pay for it. In order to pay for it, we need to do it the same way we paid for it last time, which was tax the rich extensively. That's how we did it 40 years ago. The tax rate was 90%, 70%, 60% on the wealthiest Americans. That's what it was. And with that money, we built roads, we built the middle class, we built Medicare, we built we built things with the money from the rich. That's what we did. We chose to build things with money from the rich. Now
that benefited everyone was the idea.
Benefited everyone. We did
which
not let
today opponents of this would call that socialism.
That's correct. They're calling it socialism, but really, actually, what it is a collective participation in the greater good. Not socialism where everything gets wiped out. No, it's the hybrid that America has. America has a hybrid. Part of our system is capitalist. Part of our system is socialist. It's capitalist, and the socialist part props up. Let me say it one more time. Props up the capitalist part. How do we know this? We just bailed out bankers, for God's sake, as if bankers needed money. Hey, wait. We're going to give money to bankers so they'll lend it to the people. Did they lend it to the people? No, they didn't lend it to the people. They redid their ATMs. And
they gave themselves more bonuses.
They gave themselves more bonuses. So our worldview has got to embrace the shadow, the things that we do wrong, the things that are unjust. The incarceration rate. What are we doing? The rehabilitation system, nothing. The workforce development, nothing. Very limited workforce development. Other countries have layers of workforce development. We don't have that. We don't have workforce development. So really, really some problematic big things that we need to face. And
and that's the tough part, isn't it? Facing
right.
it, Bill,
That's
because to sort of circle back to how SE Cup closed her segment is, when are the people going to realize they've been had? And to me, that is a really tough question. Will
you
they
can't tell
ever
them
realize it? I mean,
and the thing is that you can't tell them they've been had. They will not admit their pride, their respect, their recognition, their self-worth will not admit that they've been had. What you do, if anybody who's listening to my guidance, is you replace it with a new, more valuable thought. You've got to replace it. You cannot override it. can't override it because they have too much investment. And then through time, they'll experience the backlash of truth. Then through time, it's like sort of like, Tom, remember that time in when you were 30 years old or 25 years old, you did that thing that you did that was really kind of junky, the thing that you did, but you really felt it was really good that you did that thing that you did. Remember that thing you did? Now, I'm just making up a story. I don't know what the thing Tom is. Tom, I don't know what the thing is, but in his brain, he's thinking about that. Tom, have you noticed that you've given yourself a pass on that thing that you did that was kind of like a junky thing that you thought, that wasn't a good thing that I did, but boy, I'm glad I did do that thing again.
Sure. Or the other thing that I think is a good example is, I think married couples go through this a lot when your spouse does something junky, but you are married and you're going to be loyal and supportive of your spouse. Even if you wouldn't have done or wished that your spouse didn't do that thing, you're going to back them up because that's what people do. And I think that's the tough part, isn't it? People feel that they invested their vote. They invested themselves in a choice to support someone, in this case, maybe a leader, a political, leader, candidate, whatever. And they're not going to wake up because they've invested so much. And if they then flip 180 degrees, they have to admit they made a bad choice or they were wrong. So they need an off ramp, don't they?
Right. They need an off ramp. Yeah, they need an off ramp. And we got to give them an off ramp and that's where SE Cup is kind of missing this, is that when will the followers of the big, here's her quote, when will the followers of the big lie are going to realize that they're being had, that the people they trusted and adored don't even believe what they are saying or selling. They're not even believing it. I mean, the mouthpieces of media, because there's mouthpieces of media. There's people that are advocates. Now, whether they have a direct feed, and we're going to get into this next time though, whether they have a direct feed right to the top, that is problematic, because that is a type of propaganda that we sort of don't want. Now, we want investigative journalism to say, here's the pros and cons of the Build Back Better plan, the pros and cons. That's what I'd like media to do. Stay in your lane. Here's the pros of it. Here's the con of it. Stay in your lane. Don't say bad, good. One side takes one side. I don't want media to do that.
So don't judge, don't give opinion, just report. Well, but you know what? The 24-hour news cycle is so full of opinion.
I'm telling you what is not there. I mean, it's like, if you want to land on the fact, then you've got to land on the fact. It's very, very difficult. And what media has cultivated is that they can make money at weaving in opinion. We didn't do that in the past. We kept it separate. So we really need to face, and I think that's a big part of it, is we need to face that as human beings, we are affected by words, word salad. We have a fast food diet of words and a fast food diet of from our restaurants. And I'm going to say this, it's upsetting me to say this, but it's better to use 5-cent words, 10-cent words, 25-cent words, rather than some of the words that SE Cup used, which were $1.50 words, $2.50 words, $5 words. You can't use those words because the person's brain will not believe it or even understand it. It
doesn't land, it isn't received as easily as the more simple language. Is that what you're saying?
Salt and sugar. That's the type of words you got to use, is salt and sugar. It's salt. It's like it's carbs. It's carbs.
Nobody wants to eat their vegetables.
Nobody wants to eat
language.
vegetables. Vegetable language, Tom. And I mean that's our next that's our next podcast right there is vegetable language. I mean, can we get a healthier diet? And the problem is that a healthy diet is expensive. I don't know. I mean, you've got to pay a little bit more for healthy food, but wait a minute, it's cheap. And so what winds up happening is that words, people who inspire us, like football coaches, or when we hear a great monologue in a movie, or we listen to a great poem, or a corporate leader inspires us, we say, okay, I'm going to work for this person. I'd like to work in this company culture. I'd like to be in this experience right here. This is what I'd like to do and have the experience. When a corporate leader turns to a politician, then the politician has got to use the same set of words. So as we've mentioned on this show many times, make America great again. Great is a 25-cent word. Again is a 10-cent word. Again to what? To the 1950s? When was America great again? 1950s. 1950 through 63. Is that the time period we got to go back to? Yeah, the world sort of has changed since then. We know we're not the same people, and we're not dealing with the same problems. We have a different set of problems. I mean, we didn't even have a catalytic converter on a car back then to take out the pollutants. We didn't know that was a thing until it became a real thing called Los Angeles smog, and people choking and getting really sick from it. So our way to approach this from a language perspective is to realize that we're going to have corporate leaders that inspire, but also lie. We're going to have politicians that also inspire, that also lie. We also got to realize that part of it is a sales pitch to raise our dopamine, to raise our cortisol, to raise our adrenaline, to get us to fight, to get us to be loyal, to get us to dedicate. One of the biggest things that is happening right now is the souring of loyalty. It's souring. Those people that were loyal to Trump, and then he sent them from where they were, where all the safety features were, and sent them to the thing. Once he did that, and there was nobody down there there was no permits for that area. There was no protection for that area. And he sent those people down there. Well, he came up with that. Part of it is unconscious and spontaneous. Go down there and make your voices known. It's like there's no sense of consequence.
Followed by, if you don't, you've got to fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. That's a pretty extraordinary message.
You are not going to have a country no more.
Yeah, country was the biggest word in
word in the group. So what happens is it's like, hey, you're good. There's a set of Big Mac sandwiches down there. They're for free. I mean, it's really funny. All of a sudden, the image in my head of Trump in front of, maybe we should put this picture in the
cheeseburgers,
all the cheeseburgers in front like that. That's him. That's it. That's what he does. That's the words. Those are the words that he uses. He's only using those words because those words are going to be consumed more easily by the listener. This is a communication podcast, right? Yeah. Look at you. Look at how you shook your head there. That was like you were it's like so disheartening. I mean, it is. So if I'm empathizing with you, gosh, it's really disheartening because look at how the truth landed on you. You're going like, oh my gosh. And by the way, Sean Hannity does it. Ingram does it. Tucker, they're all using words and a form of outrage with the same kinds of sandwiches.
Fast food language designed to outrage, to
right, engage,
indoctrinate, to
keep the eyeball with them. They just want the eyeball with them because they're getting paid by their viewership. I mean, it's not until, if you think about it, it's like the latest guy on Fox that left, Chris Wallace, right? I mean, he's going like, I can't stay here. I can't listen to this people. I mean, who's the last rat off the ship? And I'm not trying to call
nice
Republicans.
Label.
I'm not trying to call nice label, Bill. Yeah. You're calling me on my own, it's great. It's not the belief structure. It's the way it's being promoted is the problem. I really enjoy having a brake on my car because it allows me to stop. My brake is the conservative part of my car. The gas is the liberal part of the car. It gets us to go someplace. The foot on the brake gets us to be cautious and be safe and not overspend.
Wow.
The gas gets us to go someplace and do big things and figure out where the innovation is and create new markets and become a world leader again through thoughts and innovation.
Are we saying that organizations like Fox News and CNN, and I think they're all guilty of this, that they're all have built cars with accelerators and almost no brakes?
Right. And they're trying to drive, if you think what's happened from the voting perspective, and money is the problem here too, by the way, if you didn't fund the politicians through Citizens United a lot, and gave everybody that was running an office the same kitty to spend from.
Same amount of money. Yeah.
Same amount of money to spend from this. A lot of this will go away. And then they have to vote. Then they have to vote for what the people voted them for to get elected in their districts. Then they would have to be responsible, not to the donor. They're responsible to the voter, So that's a broken part of the system. And I know it's really tough for us to talk about it, because right now we're just using more money to buy more fast food. And if you think about Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, is that when Obama was in office, it was all about no. It's all foot on the brake. You cannot make any decisions without us. And they just sat and it was like they reached across and just, put their foot on the brake of what was voted for. We voted for that guy. And we even voted for that guy, even though you were saying no to him. We still voted for him because of his words and his inspiration and the direction that we were looking for him to go. So this is where in business and in sales and in marketing, we need to pay attention to it. In politics, we need to pay attention to what our leaders are saying and how close to the truth is it, and take ownership of how we are buying things. I mean, there's things about our, the people that we love, we don't like. Well, we're still loyal to them.
Sure.
Same thing.
No question.
Same thing. So we've got to get these folks back in the car, the American car, before it gets wrecked. American experience. Realize what the role is. This is the role that we play. And this is the advocacy that we do. We vote this way. And there shouldn't be an outrage about it.
And to hopefully realize that we have these things called elections. We've already set up pretty darn good systems to do that. After all, we've been doing it for 250 years. And the result of the election, if it doesn't go your way, it doesn't mean it was stolen. That's the tough thing.
Trusting, it's very, very hard. Yeah, it's hard to trust the system when, see, the one of the mistakes that the Republicans made was to try to make the system wrong and bad. they really they made the system wrong and bad, and then they made the Democrats wrong and bad. And what they didn't know by doing that language strategy is they were going to lose their own freedoms along the way. They had no idea about that. It's very unconscious because the dopamine and the cortisol and the belief that that's generated by those molecules is creates a conviction towards a limited mindset. And man, as soon as you do that, all the folks that have those limited mindset are going to come out and march and carry torches. That's what they do. So it inspires them to say, yes, you're a part of my limited mindset, and I'm going in your direction. Instead of saying, instead of staying in the shadows, or we're addressing the shadow, which we need to do more. We need to address our own shadow more. And I hope we get to it. So
it's hard to look in the mirror, isn't it?
It kind of is. It kind of is. All right. Well, this has been great, Tom. Good discussion.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, folks, we'll be back next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.